Hello, Grapperinos, and welcome to another exciting episode of Probably Next Week on Smackdown. I'm Bryon, and once again joined by Cody, not like her anymore. Mike, say hi, Mike. I don't know. I got nothing.
Yeah. I don't know what that was either. I guess if you want to give me a proper introduction,
I could say,
reliving the war enjoyer.
damn it, I could have,
Mike.
you know, yeah, I could have said
Yes.
Attitude Era Yearner instead.
Yes.
That would have made
Yep.
the intro much better.
Yes. Shout out to Wrestling Bios. Man, finished the 5-year odyssey that was reviewing every single Nitro episode that has ever been produced.
Nice.
Ended today. I cried at the end because I would not be here making these absolute dog shit predictions with you if I did not watch that series when you told me to, like 2 years ago. So,
Yep.
yeah. So there you go. Good shit. But we have predictions to get to, Brian. So
Yeah, we do.
We must continue.
Yes, we must be terrible marks and get to predicting. On this show, I would say it's not as good as Reliving the War, but you know what? We'll try, all right? We try to be okay, all right? We try to be a 5 out of 10 show where we do our predictions, we do our bookings for the next episode of Smackdown in this case. And we do them according to these rules, and well, after that, we watch the next episode of SmackDown as it airs live, and then we score our predictions and bookings based on this scoring system. And then we go back here on the next episode of this show, and we basically tell you what we got. So let's do that now. That's what we got. I got an 11.5, I think, but that's just the majority of it due to the whole Cody, Drew, Rhea, Io Solo, Jay, Tiffany, Carmelo, Miz, and Kit Wilson appearances. The only win that I predicted right was Carmelo winning, but hey, that's a free point at this point because Carmelo will always win every open challenge until the other guy wins, I guess. Or at least the guy who they think can take it off of Carmelo wins, which is probably Royce Keys or some other person. But anyway, what'd you get, Mike?
Yes, I got 10 points. All of them were from appearances, mainly from Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton, Jordynne Grace. I had Tama Tonga winning. I had Jade Cargill confronting Jordynne Grace in a promo. I had the winners of the tag team championship, and I also had Cody Rhodes showing up at a promo at the beginning of the show as well. So
nice. All right, well, let's take a look at what we got announced, which is quite a lot for SmackDown, which is very, very interesting. We got Rey Fenix going up against Trick Williams. We got Jade Cargill versus Jordynne Grace for the WWE Women's Championship. We have Rhea and Io taking on Nia and Lash for the Women's Tag Team Championships. I know I'm only using their first names, so I'll go by that. We have Alexa Bliss going up against Julia and Zelina Vega in a triple threat for a Women's Elimination Chamber match. And Cody Rhodes going up against Jacob Fatu and Sami Zayn in a triple threat for, well, the Elimination Chamber match for the men. So, without further ado, let's book this thing, get to my version of the show first as the MFT walk to the ring. Solo reiterates what he said last week, that he has the lantern, he has the tag team title belts, and now it's the time for his family to get the rest of the titles back to the family. Yup, that makes sense. It's time for Tama Tonga to get the US Championship, and it's time for Solo to get the undisputed WWE Championship, but not without those stupid Wyatt Six. He's got the lantern, as he said before. And if the Wyatt Six want their lantern back, they have to get it out of the MFT's hands and try as hard as they can. But they will never do it because the MFT has got the whole world in their hands. They are interrupted by Carmelo Hayes, who heard what Solo said about the US Championship. He challenges Tama Tonga to a match And Solo says he agrees on behalf of Tama Tonga. And we transition to Carmelo Hayes versus Tama Tonga for the US Championship. I will have Carmelo Hayes win, as usual, due to a distraction from Shinsuke Nakamura. Yes, I think the Tama Tonga Shinsuke feud is not over. After the match, Tama chases after Shinsuke, and the MFTs are left in the ring to tend to Tama Tonga, and they are attacked by the Wyatt Six. I think this will lead to a finale at WrestleMania, where hopefully this feud is freaking over, and the Wyatt Six take back their lantern, maybe win back their championships, and I guess the MFTs move to Raw. I guess I don't know. if the endpoint is for the Wyatt Six to regain their lantern and their championships, then I guess the thing that makes sense for the MFT would be to go to Raw, because SmackDown is no longer going to be their home, I guess. The Wyatt Six is just going to be their stomping ground over there on SmackDown forever after that. So, yeah. Ray Phoenix tricks. Ray Phoenix takes on Trick Williams, and I will have Trick lose to Ray Phoenix by pinfall. And I think Trick might be the next to take on Drew McIntyre, despite the loss by Ray Phoenix. And I say this because of 50-50 booking, obviously. But I think that Ray and Trick are not finished. They will have a sort of final match, I guess in the go-home show before the Elimination Chamber, I suppose, where Trick goes over, and Trick sort of cements himself to be probably one of the next ones to take on Drew McIntyre after whoever wins the Men's Chamber. And whatever feud he's going to be in is probably going to be another mid-card to sort of coast him by until then. Maybe get him onto that US Championship situation. So yeah. Jade takes on Jordynne Grace for the Women's Championship. That's up next. And Jordynne, I'm going to have Jordynne win by pinfall because of a returning Bianca Belair. I am still leaning, however, towards Liv versus Stephanie going on at WrestleMania instead of Jordynne. So what I think will happen is that Jade Cargill goes on to feud with Bianca Belair on her return. That will lead to a match at Mania, and winning that match, and Jordynne is the champion. I think the first person to challenge her is probably going to be Chelsea Green. Yeah, probably Chelsea Green. So there you go, I suppose. Next, Women's Tag Team Championship action as Rhea and Io take on Lash Legend and Nia Jax. I will have Rhea and Io win by pinfall, and after the match, I'm gonna have the Judgment Day, which is Roxanne and Raquel. Liv is staying over on Raw to take care of the Stephanie situation. They come in to beat up Rhea and Io, which leads to a feud at Mania. So we're gonna have the Women's Tag Team Championship match at Mania between Rhea and Io and the Judgment Day. And I think that the Judgment Day go over on that match, just to, I guess, build up the Judgment Day, as they probably need more titles, I suppose. What with Finn Balor possibly going out of the group by WrestleMania season, so they kind of still need to protect the group in some way. I think a title on them after the Intercontinental Championship held by Dom would, it would build them up a little bit more, I suppose. They probably need it. Next, qualifying match for the Women's Elimination Chamber as Alexa Bliss takes on Julia and Zelina in a triple threat, and I am going to have Alexa Bliss win by pinfall because, again, I think this feeds into the whole story between her and Charlotte Flair. And I don't think that she does not win the Women's Chamber because Tiffany has a much better case to win, in my opinion. Unless, of course, Jordynne gets put in which case I will have probably Jordynne win that qualifying match, go on to the Women's Chamber and win. And yeah, face Jade if that Women's Championship match doesn't really, result in Jordynne winning the championship. But Yeah, in case Jordynne wins, I think Alexa Bliss is going to be put in that chamber, but she does not win. I don't think so. There you go. I think it will be someone else. Preferably maybe Bianca Belair, I suppose. If she does come back by then. Maybe it could be a oh someone from NXT maybe if they decide to bring one up. So yeah, there you go. Kit Wilson takes on Matt Cardona. That is after that because of a backstage segment between Kit and Matt Cardona, I think 2 weeks ago or last week, where they were talking about a match, and Matt is like, all right, I guess I will challenge you to a match. And Kit is like, you're toxic. All right, you are toxic. So they have this match, I suppose. And because of 50-50 booking, Kit Wilson won last time. I'm going to have Matt Cardona win this time due to 50-50 booking. And after the match, Kit beats him up, calls him toxic. He walks to the back. He complains to Nick Aldis about the match. He calls him toxic. And then he leaves the arena. And then Matt Cardona is just there in the ring going, what the hell is going on? So, yeah. I think this feud is going to be extended, probably up to WrestleMania. Probably going to be a segment at WrestleMania night 1 or 2 where Kit Wilson calls everyone toxic. He stumbles upon Matt Cardona and then he beats him up or something like that. Maybe Obafemi. So, could be a decent moment, I suppose. Next, qualifying match for the men's Elimination Chamber. And I think this is the main event. Yes, it is. Cody Rhodes takes on Jacob Fatu and Sami Zayn in a triple threat match. And I will have, this might be bold, but I'm going to have Cody win by pinfall. After the match, an angered Jacob Fatu beats up Cody around the ringside area, and that causes a lot of destruction to happen. A bunch of personnel then come in to get him out, and he does, Jacob Fatu. But Drew attacks Cody out of nowhere with a claymore. Drew stands over Cody's body, holding the belt as the show goes off the air. I still think we are heading to a triple threat at Mania between Jacob, and Jacob, and Drew. And or it could be the case where Jacob goes up against Cody at night 1 of WrestleMania, and then we have Cody versus Drew at night 2, with the possibility of it being a triple threat if Jacob Fatu wins the match against Cody Rhodes. So it could go 2 ways, I think, but I'm leaning more towards the triple threat because, man, does Triple H love his triple threats. I can tell you that with a fact. So there you go. That is my show. Any questions?
So how do you think Jacob gets the triple threat, right? Because I mean, he didn't get in. Obviously, in your scenario, he didn't win the elimination chamber. Obviously, he didn't win the rumble. So how does he get his title shot?
Um, I think after this episode, Jacob is you know how Braun Breaker starts breaking things. He starts breaking things on Raw. I think Jacob Fatu is going to do the same thing on SmackDown. I think he's going to go around, destroy some things. He goes to Nick Aldis and be like, "Yo, I'm gonna wanna go to that match. You know, I wanna be back on that match against Drew. Okay, and I want that title. You know, so why don't you put me on there?" And Nick is like, "No, you've lost like twice. So go to the back of the line." And then that angers Jacob even more. He causes more destruction. He ruins SmackDown for everyone. And then it's to the point where Nick Aldis is like, you know what? You know what? Time to get you out of the show. You are no longer in the show. Get out of here. You are now an outlaw, I suppose. I don't know how you would call that. But he's no longer going to be on the show. After that, we'll say around WrestleMania's kind of April, March, end of March, start of April. Okay, so around where WrestleMania is supposed to be this year, I'm gonna have Jacob Fatu come back and sort of cost some people some matches, and then I'm going to have Nick Aldis come out and be like, "Yo, what the hell? I banned you from the show. What the hell are you doing here?" And Jacob's like, "I haven't forgotten. I still want that match against Drew." And that's when Nick Aldis sort of proposes the idea to him about, being, you still want Cody. I know that you guys, brawled, and you didn't really have a lot of, stuff. You didn't really have an official match that happened, I mean. So I am going to have you guys do a match at WrestleMania where, Cody and you could have a fight. If you guys, uh, if one of you, or sorry, if Jacob, you win, that means you get put into this as a triple threat match. If you lose, and that's it. At least you still get the satisfaction of beating up Cody Rhodes and all that. So I think that's what will happen there. I don't know if that answered the question. That seemed like a lot,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that answered most of my question. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it seems like a convoluted way for them to get a triple threat, but they love their triple threats at WrestleMania. So there you go.
they also love copying from each other. So they've just copied a lot of
They do.
storylines from previous years, I suppose. So that's sort of what I'm doing with this one. I think I'm gonna have Jacob. I'm gonna portray him very strong going into Mania, and then we'll have him get his way. I don't think he wins though, because Cody is going to use some underhanded tactics again, feeding into the whole Cody heel turn, and yeah, I think he takes it from Drew just by going full on heel mode, full on Cody Lander. So
Cody Lander, indeed.
yep. Any other
Nice.
questions? Yep.
No, I am ready for my card.
All right, let's move on to your card then, starting off with.
We start off with Homelander himself, Mr. Cody Rhodes, coming down to the ring, and he puts over the Elimination Chamber, how tough the Elimination Chamber is, and that he has a qualifying match tonight between him, Sami Zayn, and Jacob Fatu. He is then attacked by one Drew McIntyre. They are separated by security, and that is how the promo ends for Cody.
All right. Wait, you said he's interrupted by Drew?
Drew and Jacob Fatu. I forgot to say Jacob Fatu as well. Jacob Fatu is also in there. There's a brawl between the three of them. Again, they're all separated by security. And there you go. So,
All right. Cool. I guess I will ask the questions because one of the announced matches is Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu versus Sami Zayn. I will ask, I guess, the rest later on. So we'll move on from that too.
the women's Elimination Chamber qualifying match between Alexa Bliss, Julia, and Zelina Vega. We know who's here to take the pin, and it's not Alexa Bliss or Julia. Alexa Bliss, I think, wins this one via pinfall. Why not Julia, you ask? Well, because it's clearly obvious that the Elimination Chamber is going to be stacked with people who are main eventers, and Julia is not a main eventer, and Zelina Vega is just here to take the pin. So that leaves Alexa Bliss to enter the chamber. So
At least she's on the show.
it's Occam's razor when it comes to SmackDown, Brian. It's just the most obvious choice is the correct one.
True.
It's like if you have an Elimination Chamber qualifier between Randy Orton, Finn Balor, and El Grande Americano, who's winning that one? Well, it's Randy Orton.
Oh my god.
Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah. No, exactly. That's the whole point. These qualifying matches are freaking predictable, man. You kind of know who's going to win, so why even bother, It's insane. Who do you think wins the women's chamber?
Um,
Because it has to be a SmackDown
so
woman, right? Because Liv
yeah,
Liv won.
I'm still thinking. Well, did Liv choose yet? I thought she chose Jade, or she was like still on the fence about choosing who to.
I think she's on the fence though, so it might not be a
Yeah,
SmackDown
I don't
woman
think she chose
actually.
on Raw. No. Um, I'm still on the fence of whether or not Bianca's going to come back, because I really don't know where you do it now other than on a random episode of SmackDown, like you said on this episode of SmackDown. Um, so I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I would have to wait until the all the qualifiers are done to give you an answer on that, honestly. So
Yeah, okay, that makes
who
sense.
knows? They could have Trish Stratus come back and put her in the main.
Oh God.
Bro, I as someone who had only watched, the Attitude Era, back to plugging reliving the more here, and didn't watch, the gap between the end of the Attitude Era at this point to now. I know people, told me that Vince was kind of um a heinous individual,
Yeah.
when it came to women. And I was like, well, maybe they're just exaggerating. I haven't seen much. And then, like, near the tail end of the war, when you see his angle with Trish, I'm like, okay, okay, I get it, I get it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Which, granted, is still kind of funny, but I see what they mean, and I
Okay.
understand it. So
All right. Interesting.
so
Yeah, no, I wasn't around. Yeah, I didn't watch all that Attitude Era stuff around that time. I was much later. So all that stuff just is interesting, let's just put it that way. And yeah, it's a product of its time, I guess. But yeah, it was all very interesting, that's for sure.
hmm.
I suppose. At least it was kind of unpredictable, not like these friggin' qualifying matches, but whatever. Anyway, we'll move on from that too.
Ray Phoenix versus Trick Williams. I think Trick wins this one via pinfall. I think they're pushing Trick to be a main eventer. And yeah, I think this is going to lead to maybe Trick versus Rey Mysterio, possibly, somewhere down the line, maybe at WrestleMania. But yeah, pretty easy pick here. So
Huh. Rey Mysterio, you say? I think Rey Mysterio's on Raw.
aren't they all in the same, like? Oh, my bad. Fuck, it's Dragon
No,
Lee,
it's
not
Penta
Ray
and Dragon Lee,
Phoenix.
man.
Ah, damn, I'm Michael Calling it again, man. I keep I,
Rey Phoenix is a different
I,
guy,
I
man. He's not
call
Penta.
I
He's
call,
not
call
Dragon
Javon
Lee.
Evans.
He's
I call
not El
Javon
Grande
Evans Kofi
Americano.
Kingston. I call the Usos a New Day. I call Ray Phoenix Dragon Lee. Like, it's damn.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
okay.
not good. Not good at all. All right. Do you see Trick Williams becoming a sort of US champion? Maybe even be put in the tag team in some way? But I don't know.
Yes, yeah, I can definitely see Trick becoming a U.S. champion down the line. Maybe at WrestleMania, when they maybe try to run back his feud that he had in NXT with Carmelo Hayes. Um, yeah, I can definitely see him getting the U.S. title within the next couple of months.
Well, you know what else is around the corner, Mike? It's the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. He could also win that.
Hmm.
You know,
I would
it
put my
means
money
anything,
firmly.
but
I would put my money firmly on Javon Evans.
really, you're
I
gonna have
would,
Javon
dude.
win
They
the
are
Battle
they're
Royal?
pushing this man. They are pushing this boy to the moon. I think he'll be the next IC title if they don't make him the Battle Royal champion. I think he will be the next IC title holder. I would bet a strong amount of money on that. Unfortunately, I think that's the way they're going.
Okay. And by the trajectory of the Under the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winners of the past, I'm pretty sure they're gonna find a way to ruin Javon Evans.
I don't think he wins it. If so, if he gets into a feud with Dominic,
Yeah.
I think he takes the title. Obviously, if
Okay.
he doesn't, put him in the battle royal. I think he might win. And the unfortunate thing about the battle royale is that it's very mixed with its outcome. Like I remember Braun Strowman won the first year I watched it, and then he was out of the company like a year later. Carmelo Hayes won it the next year, and now he is the U.S. champion. So it is very much 50-50 whether or not you'll be out of the company and working on TNA or AEW or a belt holder.
Yeah,
So
no, that's true. That's true. You can't really, I guess, predict the. You can't really precisely predict. I should say that the sort of trajectory of the winner of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal for sure. But I'm just saying that, there is a possibility that they might ruin the winner, is all I'm saying. Either that or realize that what they have done with him since then is not that great. So let's put a title on him, like a mid card title. That would be great. But
I need to ask you this question. I've been
yeah,
pondering this, Brian. Do you think? I know we have NXT,
yeah.
but that's a separate brand at this point. Do you think that we should bring back a cruiserweight title or equivalent for the lower card?
Um so the thing with that is they've tried to set up a cruiserweight division in its history, right? Many, many times. And none of them haven't really succeeded. So I think part of the whole failure of the cruiserweight division stuff in WWE thus far is because of Vince. I think.
That's what I mean.
But yeah.
They can never do cruiserweights well with Vince around, but I'm thinking that you have a lot of guys who are in like the lower mid card who are based. You have like Javon Evans, you have Ray Phoenix, Dragon Lee, you have a Motor City Machine Guns, you have Fraxium, you have I guess you could put Trick Williams in there, but he's more of a heavyweight guy.
Yeah.
Um, you have a bunch of guys who are lower mid card who could definitely benefit from having a title like that to go after because it feels like we have a lot of talent and not enough stuff for them to do.
Um well, there's not only that history of the cruiserweight division. I think the other problem is that there's also a lot of titles currently in the WWE. If you think about the women's stuff, you have the women's US championship and then you have the women's just an example, right? They decided to throw in the women's US championship and the women's intercontinental championship and then you have the women's tag team championships, right? They sort of introduced these titles and tried to make them relevant, but there's nothing so far as a reign that is sort of memorable in terms of those titles. So by I wouldn't say proxy, but if you introduce the Cruiserweight Championship, number one, well, is there going to be a division that is going to be enough to get those titles? And if there's a lot of talent, then fine. But can they book really well with that title? Do you trust them to book that title well to the point where it produces a bunch of memorable title reigns like they did with the other titles they've recently introduced? I don't think so. So I think there's some risk there when you introduce a title in terms of how you're going to book that title and in terms of if is there enough talent pool to actually have people to face each other for the title to have it mean something and to have it be a title that can be enough to sort of serve around a lot of the wastes of the people that wear them, right? I suppose it's kind of a strange wording, but you know.
No, I get what you mean. That makes sense to me. I think my belief, my reasoning is partly due to the fact that, like you said, the women's IC title. Who even is the IC title holder right now for the women?
Becky
Oh, Becky
Lynch?
Lynch. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I think it's partly due to the fact that they really haven't made those mid card titles like mean something. You know,
Yeah.
like back in I hate to go back to the Attitude Era, but like this is all I know at this point. um, when somebody won
Back
the
in my
U.S.
day.
title, right? Or in WCW when someone won the US title. It meant something. It like meant that you were like on track to be like a big star. Now it's like, yeah, sure. Carmelo Hayes. I mean, no heat on Carmelo Hayes is great, but like, yeah, Carmelo Hayes won it on a SmackDown against Ilya Dragunov, or Julia wins it and then she does fuck all for a month, doesn't even show up in the show.
Yeah.
So I think my belief, you're right. I think my belief is mainly due to the fact that they do not promote these champions like they should be,
Yeah.
or they don't book them like they should be too.
I guess the closest might be, I guess, Carmelo. Like, at least they're featuring him on TV and they're having him defend
Yes,
every week. But again, that's kind of lazy booking because you're just coming up with random people to face him. Like, there's not really that much effort into coming up with people to fight him. You just pick
yeah.
whoever at random, and there you go. There's your match.
It sort of cheapens the belt too, right? Because like part of the getting to a championship fight is being the number one contender, right? Is being the guy who gets to go after the belt. And if you have the belt up for grabs literally every week, then it just kind of cheapens the whole experience to where if someone gets a shot at the the WWE title, it's like, oh, that's a big deal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, well,
You really are an
I think we
Attitude Era
yapped enough.
yearner, aren't you?
It's
You
true.
yearn for the Attitude Era.
Mm.
Let's bring back Stone Cold. Why don't we? Let's have him ride an ATV.
He'll be back next year in Saudi Arabia with
Hell
Mr. Beast as
yeah!
his manager.
Oh my God! If
Sorry, we,
he's gonna raise
we
the,
yapped enough.
he's gonna raise two beer cans, and he's just gonna like,
Uh, Alcohol is haram, so it's gonna be like
oh my
water
God!
or something.
What if he, what if he raises like two jars of milk, like Kurt Angle did,
Uh,
like two milk cartons
Two milk
of
cartons.
milk, and he's like, "Give me a hell yeah!"
What do they? What is like the? What if he raises like I don't know what they drink in Saudi Arabia? Probably like wine or something. You know, just like
Probably,
smashes
yeah,
two wine bottles together. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh well. Okay.
He doesn't. He drinks
Well,
the APA. You know, he's on that APA mindset.
I think he's more of a lager person. I think Stone Cold is.
Really?
I would have to think. Oh, let me look this up. Let me look this up. No, because he had a Budweiser. He had Steve Weisers, but they were Budweisers. Budweiser's a lager, so he definitely is a lager person. Man, he's not an IPA
Okay.
man.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I'll take it from the Attitude Era yearner. We'll move on from that then to.
Wyatt Six promo. So the Wyatt Six come out without the lantern, and they reveal that it was them, Solo. It was them all along that took out the MFTs last week. Solo couldn't find his family, and that's because the Wyatt Six have destroyed them and have kidnapped them. Maybe, possibly, I don't know. We're going to see if that angle is allowed on television. And they have held Solo's family captive until Solo gives up the lantern.
I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna mention the segment where they sort of hang him up with a cross or something. Didn't that happen?
That was Undertaker
Oh, okay.
crucifying Stephanie McMahon.
The whole Ministry of Darkness storyline. Yeah, isn't that great? The higher power. You know, remember that higher power.
Higher power. Yeah.
Anyway, what were you gonna
So
say?
I think
Yeah.
this sets up. I think this sets up probably a Solo Sokoa versus Uncle Howdy match, maybe at Elimination Chamber. And I think this feud continues, like you said, through WrestleMania. And I am gonna bet Not as much money as I would bet on Javon Evans becoming the IC title holder at the beginning after WrestleMania, but a solid amount of money that we're going to have a tornado tag team match between these two teams at WrestleMania because we need this to end, and the only way this is going to end is when all these people go after each other at once, and we finally get a definitive winner at this goddamn feud.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. This needs to end. Again, this man, Triple H, feels the need to lengthen things that don't need to be lengthened. And this is one of them. You don't need this to go on for a long time, man. Just wrap it up. Wrap it up. Come on, man. Fair enough. Do you think, I guess, do you still lean on the results of the Wyatt Six moving back to Raw? Or do you think that the MFT go to Raw? Or do you think both teams will find a way to coexist on SmackDown? Like, I don't know where you think the endpoint should be, or where you think it's gonna go.
I really still think we're moving towards a tag team unification match.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I also agree with that. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, just have it be like the women's tag team. Like, here's another thing: if the women's tag team championships can move in between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, why can't the men's? That just sounds weird, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like the men's have SmackDown and Raw separate tag team championships, but the woman can sort of like it's one set of titles and they move it in between different shows. That just sounds unfair to me, I think. So, there you go. I don't know. But I do agree with you. They do need to unify those titles, but I don't think so. We'll move on from that to
We have the women's tag team champion. Speaking of, we have Rio versus Nia Jax and Lash Legend. I think Nia Jax and Lash Legend win this one via pinfall. I think that they are the champions going into WrestleMania, and I think Rhea and Io probably head back to the main event scene, to Elimination Chamber, and to being as singles competitors.
all right. Yeah, I guess that's fine. I guess I yeah. So, do you think the breakup will happen at Mania? Since you said that they're going to be singles competitors.
Um, I could see it happening maybe at Elimination Chamber, possibly. Um, but somewhere in the next couple of weeks, I think that they break up officially as a tag team. So
Huh. All right, that's interesting. I I don't know if they will probably book the separation between Rhea and Io, but I would like to see them try. I think it kind of makes it a little bit more captivating, I suppose. Because I think Rhea and Io has been a good partnership, but there needs to be a little bit more spice, kind of like with the whole Charlotte and Alexa deal, to make it kind of stand out. But yeah, at least they got a story per se, I suppose. You know, Charlotte and Alexa has the most story, but yeah. We'll move on from that to
Elimination Chamber qualifier: Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, and Sami Zayn. Now, I have been going back and forth on this one since I booked it, or since I predicted it, and I don't. I was originally going to go with the ending of Cody and Jacob go after each other so hard that Sammy comes in and sneaks away with the win. But then I remembered that it's Cody Rhodes, so I went with Cody Rhodes winning.
oh, you're gonna have Cody win? Wow. Can you explain why?
Yeah, I think Cody wins this one. I think somehow he's able to maybe Sami Zayn takes out Jacob Fatu for him or something. I don't know, like a Paluva kick or something like that. But I think that Jacob beats up Cody after the bell. Sammy saves him, and I think this might start a mini feud between Sammy and Jacob. So
Okay. So you're still leaning on the Cody heel turn stuff, right? At Mania, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. Where do you see, I guess, Jacob and Sammy go from here?
I think they have a mini feud, maybe going into the chamber, and then maybe somehow Jacob Fatu can weasel his way into winning a title, getting a title shot at WrestleMania, maybe in a triple threat, like you said. So,
Okay, fair enough. And Sammy's just gonna, lay down there and weep, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, he's gonna go over next year when we go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Oh, there's a story brewing in there for sure. But all right, fair enough. We'll move on then to the main event, which is
The main event, which is the Women's World Championship between Jordynne Grace and Jade Cargill. I think what happens here is Jade wins this one via DQ thanks to interference from the Judgment Day. I think the Judgment Day come down and interfere on Jordynne Grace's behalf. I think this is because, for some reason, Liv views Jade as probably the easier opponent or something like that. I don't know.
okay.
But maybe she wants to beat Jade. So they interfere, causing a DQ win for Jade. And then Bianca shows up after the bell to scare off the Judgment Day. And now we have a very interesting dynamic.
All right. Well, first off, this is the WWE Women's Championship. All right, the championship that you're referring to is on Raw. All right, first off. Second off,
Well, no. No,
yeah, you said Women's World Championship, my guy.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
You're Michael
Right.
Coling
Yeah,
again. You're Michael Coling. All right. Second of all, so because you are, I guess you don't know when Bianca's coming back. Do you still think there's a possibility that a Bianca versus Jade for the title feud? Do you think it's going to happen later this year? Probably around Survivor Series or I don't know, SummerSlam? Like where do you see that?
SummerSlam sounds right to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think Jordynne, so you're saying that there's a DQ? So I'm thinking there might be a case for Jordynne to get inserted into the Women's Chamber match. Do you think
Yes.
she gets inserted? And
Yeah, maybe she has a qualifying match next week. Yeah.
all right, do you think she'll win that match and go on to win the chamber, or do you think you have someone else in mind to win?
Again, like I said, I don't know who's going to win the Women's Chamber because I don't know exactly who. Like, there's people that could return. Like, you could have Bianca return. That's really the only thing that's preventing me from predicting the chamber match. Is I don't know if Bianca's going to come back, because if Bianca comes back and declares for the chamber, I think she wins the chamber. I said that about the Rumble, and she didn't show up, so I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. See, I'm Michael Coling it too. Anyway, all right. I guess that's what we got. That's about it for our predictions and bookings for the next episode of SmackDown. And as said earlier, we are going to be watching the SmackDown episode as it airs. We are going to score our predictions and bookings, and we'll come back here. We'll tell you what we got, and then we do this whole thing over again. So, until then, thank you for ordering a blue cheese pizza. Call probably next week on SmackDown from Grapperinos. And remember, if you're down for some fresh, oven-baked, crispy wrestling content, stop on by Grapperinos and order yourself some content you can grapple with. See you next time, Grapperinos.